Hey guys, this is Smithy. Welcome to my channel. Today's video is so very special. We're going to talk about eyeshadow palettes, but this is an hypothetical situation. If I have to declutter one palette from every brand that I have, what is it going to be? And I have only selected brands that I have palettes like 3 or more from. I actually got this idea from Betty Jean and I thought, let's give it a try. Some of them were immediate yes. I knew exactly what I had to declutter, and some of them, no matter what, I'm not going to declutter. This is just a hypothetical situation, okay? So if you guys want to see which are the palettes that I chose for my categories, please keep on watching. Okay, let's start off with a bang. Let's start with Natasha Denona. I have a lot of Natasha Denona palettes in my collection, and I really love the quality of Natasha Denona palettes, and I do not own everything, and none of the brands are the ones that I'm not a person who would invest or buy just like a collector's item. I would go for the palettes that whose color story would talk to me. Talking about that, out of the Natasha Denona palettes, there are some that have already decluttered, so I'm not going to keep that into account. Out of the things that I have in my collection, this is the only mini palette that I have, and if I have to declutter one, this is going to be, and this is the Mini Love palette. It's simply because I feel like their midi eyeshadow palettes have better quality than the mini, and that's what I feel. I really feel that, and I also feel like there are less special shades. This is the only special shade that I get here, but I do love my mauves. That's the main reason why I have kept this, because these 3 shades are my absolute favorite. I'm not a big pink person, so that is like out, and this is pretty much like a champagne shade. It gives a good variety in this palette. That's why I've kept it. But if I have to declutter one, this is going to be the one. So Mini Love from Natasha Denona. Let's talk about Glaminatrix Cosmetics. Now, Glaminatrix is a brand that I actually love everything from. It's just a matter of color story, if I do love this color story or not. So talking about that, out of the ones, when I thought of Glaminatrix, I knew out of the 2 palettes which one I had to declutter, because I have somehow around 10 palettes from Glaminatrix. I'm not a big mini person too, so I knew that I had to if I had to declutter, I would declutter their 6-pan eyeshadow palettes. And out of the 6-pan eyeshadow palettes, you know I'm not a big green or a blue person, and when I thought about and compared both of those palettes, this is the one that I'm going to declutter, and this is the Elevated Eyes. This is their blue palette, and I'm not a big blue person, and I feel like I would hardly get any use out of these 2 matte shade. Once in a while I do use a navy shade, so this is beautiful. All the shimmers, outstandingly beautiful. I really love that about this palette, but because it's a blue palette, if I had to declutter one, this is gonna be. So Elevated Eyes from Glaminatrix Cosmetics. Let's talk about Sugar Drizzle. Now, I feel like Sugar Drizzle is now coming out with very less amount of palettes, but I do have a lot of eyeshadow palettes from Sugar Drizzle, which I absolutely love and adore. But I feel like if I had to declutter one, this is going to be the one. This is the Plumeria palette. I don't even know if you can find it anymore. It's a very one-tone palette. Do I love the color story? I do like the mauviness of the palette, but I'm not a big like pink person again. And this is very one note to me, and this has very less special shadows. For that reason, I'm going to declutter this. I feel like out of the palettes that I have from them, this is the only one that I was like, okay, I can deal with not having this. So that is why Plumeria palette. Okay, let's talk about MBA Cosmetics. On the similar tone, this is, I feel like, a pretty one-note color story, and these are the color story that I personally do not like. And this is their Sunset Beach palette from MBA Cosmetics. Again, not a big orange pink person. These are very loud colors on me. There's nothing wrong with the quality or anything, but this doesn't resonate with me, so that's why this is gonna go out. Okay, let's talk about Adept Cosmetics. Now, I struggled here, okay? I really struggled here because Adept palettes are super pricey, and I choose the palettes that I absolutely love and adore from Adept Cosmetics. Now, I feel like this is the only palette out of the ones that I have. If I had to declutter, I would declutter this, but there are aspects of this that I absolutely love, and this is their original Minka palette. I feel like the multichromes in this palette, like these 4 shades, you would have to get it out of my cold dead hands. Like, I can deal with the sparkly, chunkier shades going away. I won't mind that, but these multichromes, these 2, especially Linda and Selena, Selena, I have a big dip. I love that shade. I also love this shade Maya, which is a little bit more of a chunkier shadow, but I love the sparkliness. It's a very glam palette for me. I don't want to rethink my decision because the more I look at my Adept palettes, I'm like, no, I'm not decluttering that. So that is why this is going to go away, okay? Again, hypothetical situation. Remember that. Let's talk about Nabla Cosmetics. Now I feel like Nabla is a brand, or the eyeshadow palettes in this brand, I feel like I am more inclined towards the smaller eyeshadow palettes rather than the bigger eyeshadow palettes. And I feel like at that point of time, again, nothing wrong with the quality. I feel like if I had to declutter one, it is going to be their secret palette. Again, now when I look at this color story, it doesn't speak much to me. I love Nabla mattes mainly. Nabla shimmers I can live without because it's, again, nothing special about the shimmers, and mine is pretty old. But if I have to reach for Nabla palette, especially this palette, I would reach out for the mattes in this palette because that is like creamy, beautiful, buildable. I really love the mattes in this palette. But again, when I look at the palettes that I have from Nabla, this is the one that is less appealing to me. Now let's talk about Melt Cosmetics. I love the Melt palettes, which are that longer format, like Gemini 1, Gemini 2, all those format I really love. If I have to declutter one, it is going to be the Mariposa palette. I got this on a big sale price and I hardly use this palette. I don't know why. I don't think, like, the jumbled color story doesn't speak to me. I know for a fact that there's nothing wrong with the quality, but I hardly reach for this, and I don't think I'll miss out if I declutter this in my collection. For that reason, I am choosing the Mariposa palette from Melt Cosmetics. Okay, let's talk about Wicked Widow Beauty. Now, again, Wicked Widow Beauty is their eyeshadow quality. I absolutely love and adore. It's only the matter of color story if it appeals to me or not. So the one palette I knew exactly which I would declutter, and that is going to be this Tea Time Party palette. And that's only because, again, a very jumbled color story. I feel very lost when I look at this palette. Again, the shimmers, the mattes, the quality is absolutely outstanding. But I feel like this is not me in a palette. I do not gravitate to any of these shades. And for that reason, I am going to declutter this out of my collection. Okay, now let's talk about Simply Posh Cosmetics. Simply Posh Cosmetics does a lot of eyeshadow palettes which actually really appeal to me. This was the only palette that was not like calling out for me because I'm not a big pastel person. I don't use this palette very often. That is why I'm choosing Fairy Tales Fairies palette. I know this is such a favorite for a lot of people, but again, I feel like this lacks a little depth, and these shades, they do not show up much on my skin tone. And this is an older formula, so the shimmers are also not that great. I love the shimmer formula that is there now in their Cozy Cabin palette, the Coastal palette, Down to Earth palette. They're all lovely. But this, because it's an older palette and I feel like I'm not going to miss out on this. If I had to declutter one out of my collection, because I do have all the Simply Posh Cosmetics palettes with me, it is going to be this one. Okay, sorry, but it's going to be this one. Now let's talk about Ensley Rain Cosmetics. Out of the Ensley Rain Cosmetics palettes, I feel like you guys know how much I love Ensley Rain quality of the eyeshadow palettes. But again, I'm not a big mini person, so I knew immediately I have to declutter one of the mini palettes. And again, not a big green person, so I knew I am going to declutter What the Fox palette. Now, this is the color story. Again, I have not once reached out for this palette this year, and that itself says a lot. I feel like if I have to reach for this palette, I'm only gonna reach out for these two shades. Even this is super loud for me, and it is too green for me. This is the only burgundy shade that I would reach out for. For that reason, I don't think I'll be missing out on anything if I do declutter the What the Fox palette. Now let's talk about Krypton Cosmetics. I would never declutter any Krypton Cosmetics palette, okay? I would never ever. But again, I love my neutrals. I am not a big loud, colorful person at heart, and I do not wear such colorful shades. For that reason, if I have to name one, it is going to be this one, the Sunset Symphony palette. And this was their summer palette. I'm not going to declutter, let's be honest. I'm not going to declutter this, but because it's such a heavy, colorful palette, and when I opened the rest of the Krypton Cosmetics palette, there was no way I could declutter any of them. It was so difficult for me to even like put my hand on this. But because of the color story, I feel like I'll be okay. I'll not be okay, let's be honest. But if I have to, it's gonna be this one. Okay, now let's talk about Blend Bunny Cosmetics. I choose very, very less Blend Bunny Cosmetics to come into my collection, not because of the color story. I feel like they do a lot of rainbow palettes in their collection. But if I'm 100% honest, if I would keep one rainbow palette, it is going to be Blend Bunny Cosmetics, okay? So out of the ones that I have in my collection, I feel like it'll be, I'm not going to declutter it. I want to remind myself I'm not going to declutter it. But if I have to get rid of one, it is going to be the primal palette. I love the color story of this. I really do. And the quality, I don't even have to say anything about the quality of the Blend Bunny Cosmetics palettes. I love it. I absolutely love it. If I have to dip into colors, it is going to be this palette, okay? So I definitely would not. I feel like the shimmers could have been improved here in this palette. But again, this is my kind of color story, my kind of rainbow palette, which I love. So this is not going anywhere. But out of the things that I had, I could not select any other ones except the Primal palette, okay? So that is why Primal. Now let's talk about Huda Beauty. Out of the Huda Beauty palettes, now I really love Huda Beauty as a brand. The quality of eyeshadow palettes that they create, I feel like it's very everyday to me. I really, really resonate with that brand. I feel like out of the ones that I have in my collection, Pretty Grunge would be the only one. The only one palette, I feel like their larger palette that I do not have is their Empowered palette. And if I had that, that would be the one that I would declutter because I'm not a big like orangey person. But out of the ones that I have, this is the one that I would choose. But I really, really love this side of the palette. So I'm not going to declutter this for sure. But I love the variety of looks that I could create and the way each and every look looks on the eyes. It's so beautiful. But again, it's a very cool tone, monochromatic things that you can find elsewhere in the makeup industry. That is why I chose Pretty Grunge. But again, not decluttering it for sure. Okay, let's talk about Gourmand Girls. Out of the Gourmand Girls palette, I really love that long format of the eyeshadow palettes. But if I have to talk about one to declutter, it is going to be the Calavera palette. I feel like mine had a little bit like lesser quality, and that can be like a one palette quality error. But I was not a big fan of this palette. Again, super, super loud, colorful, not me in a palette. So that is why I'm going to declutter this. Calavera was not meant for me. Okay, let's talk about Bella Beauty Bar. Out of the palettes that I have from Bella Beauty Bar, again, I'm not a big collector of Bella Beauty Bar, but out of the palettes that I have from them, I feel like it will be safe to say I can get rid of the Sun and the Sea palette. A very beautiful color story. I love the browns in this palette, you know that. I did switch this blue shade to a yellow shade just to make it more versatile, and I completely used that blue shade in one of the Halloween costumes that I was doing for my son. I really, really love this palette. I love the quality of the Bella Beauty Bar shadows, and I feel like this was such a beautiful, this was the first palette that I bought from them, and I fell in love with the quality, and I really cannot declutter it even today. But if I have to choose one, it's going to be this one. Okay, let's talk about Sigma. Out of the Sigma palettes, I feel like the one that I could choose to get rid of would be the Warm Neutrals palette. Again, it's a very neutral, my kind of color story. Would I get rid of it? No. If I have to choose one, it would be this one, just because I feel like, again, this is a very monochromatic kind of palette. If I take this out, you can see a very burgundy-ish, and I knew when I was getting into this palette that it's going to be monochromatic, but these are my kind of color story when I apply it on my eyes, so that's why if I have to get rid of this, I won't mind it. Okay, let's talk about Woodin's Eye. Woodin's Eye, I only had 5 palettes from them. Out of the ones, I feel like if I have to again get rid based on the color story, it's going to be the Hummingbird palette. I loved this collection very, very much, but this is the least used palette in my collection from Woodin's Eye. For that reason, I'm choosing this. But saying that, this is such a beautiful eyeshadow. I would keep this palette for this shimmer shade and these matte shade. Like, I feel like they're very rich, they're very beautiful on the eyes, and this is something so very special. I really, really love that eyeshadow from this palette. But again, I cannot keep a palette for 3 shades. I do have it, but if I have to get rid of it, it has to be the Hummingbird palette. Two more brands to go for. Let's talk about Nomad Cosmetics. I love Nomad's quality of eyeshadow palettes. You know that I absolutely love them. It was very, very difficult for me to choose because I have a lot of their recent palettes. I do not have their very, very old palettes. And that was because the color story was not resonating from me. If I have to choose one, I am gonna choose the Fête de Provence palette. I feel like, again, it's the color story with like pinks and yellows that I do not wear that much, but I love these two columns, like the gray and the purple tones. So I'm never going to declutter this, but this side of the color story I can live without. For that reason, I am choosing Fête de Provence from Nomad Cosmetics, but the quality is absolutely beautiful and this is the newer version of Fête de Provence, so there's no complaints about the quality at all. But based on the color story, it would be safe to say this is the only one that I could even think of, okay? And last, certainly not the least, let's talk about Unearthly Cosmetics. There was no way that I could get rid of any of the Unearthly Cosmetics palettes, okay? This also, you would have to take away from my cold dead hands. I'm not going to declutter it, but I could not even think about the other ones. Could not even, because they're all my favorites. So if I have to, I would not. It's going to be the Don't Be Jelly palette because I love the color story. I feel like this color story is so genius. Like, this is colorful, but also so versatile. She did an absolute amazing job with 12 shades and the shades that can go together so beautifully with any, like you put any shades together, any look together, it will be so beautiful. I can guarantee that. I love the color story. I would have loved if these shimmers can be a little bit more revamped to their newer shimmers because I feel like these are like at least the ones that I have, I do have like hard pan on these two multi-chromes, but I still use it. I love it. I absolutely love it. Not decluttering it, okay? But that's all. Those were the eyeshadow brands that I wanted to talk about, and these are the eyeshadow palettes that if I had to declutter, these are going to be the ones, okay? But that's all for today. You guys have to let me know, do you disagree with any of the choices that I made? If yes, then what will be your choice to declutter? If I do have it in my collection, I'll give it a look. But that's all for today. If you did like my video, you know what to do. Do give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell so that you're notified every time that I post next. I generally upload 3 videos every single week, every Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays at 9 AM Eastern Standard Time. Until next time, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.